Hey everybody, Claire here, and today I am so excited. I am here with the amazing Kate from Beau and Arrow Events, and she was one of my wedding planners. So today we're gonna talk about all things wedding planning, and I have a list of questions here for you.
Awesome.
Ready? I feel like a lot of brides out there don't really know sort of how to get started. Once the ring's on the finger, it's all excitement.
Right.
But then, oh
What
God,
next?
yeah, we actually have to get married
Totally.
now. So yeah, I wanted to start off with what exactly does a wedding planner do, and when does a bride need one?
A wedding planner basically is there to guide you through the ropes. Usually for couples, this is a first time experience, something they've never done before, so they need a lot of guidance. And we kind of act as like the team captain for the wedding. We assemble the dream team to make sure that your vision is turned into reality on the big day. And usually I would say around 18 to 12 months is a good time frame to start planning.
No, for sure. I mean, I started planning my wedding a year out, and that felt like a little bit of a
Right, especially with venue.
Yeah, I think if you have a venue and you have like 120 people, and I feel like everyone, I mean, for me, I really wanted all my family members to be family members on the day.
And not be
the
running
wedding
around.
planners.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I never for a second thought I wasn't gonna get a wedding planner. Like I knew, I was like, oh no, there's gonna be a wedding
We're the ones doing all the heavy lifting, doing all the logistics, running around so that you can relax and your family can relax.
Absolutely. And I kind of feel like every bride should have a wedding planner in some capacity.
Right.
Whether it's someone who on the day runs everything, or if you have I mean, I'd say if you have over 80 people, like I think you should
Totally
just
agree.
do it.
Everyone needs some sort of help, whether it's just, a day of person or a month of tying up loose ends. So I would definitely say, the best thing to do is at least get any type of planner.
Yeah, just someone, I mean, the paperwork
Right.
blew my mind. Because it's not something you'd imagine being paperwork heavy, but oh my God. So the next question is, you work with so many different types of clients. How do you start the process with a new couple, and what are the most important questions that you need answered early on?
So it's important that we have an in-person meeting to sit down with the couple, get to know them better, chat with them, make sure that we know what their priorities are, just so that we're all on the same page moving forward. If venue is a top priority, we need to know that in advance. And then we also need to know kind of like general things like guest count and budget.
A girl just got engaged and set the date a year from now. So what is the basic bridal timeline? I feel like most people give themselves a year.
Right.
I feel like that's a year-ish, maybe a little over, maybe a little under. But what does that year look like?
Yeah, so when they're first getting started, the most important thing to do is determine the budget. And it might just be the couple are the only ones contributing to the budget, or family members might also be contributing to the budget. So first things first, agree on a number that's realistic for everyone, and then you can kind of determine how to book your vendors from there. So number one is venue. As you know, venues are, if it's a popular venue, it could be like a year, over a year, 2 years out already booked up. So definitely get rolling on venue, book that first, and then everything else kind of falls into place. You can't jump ahead and book any other vendors besides your wedding planner, obviously, before venue's booked, just because you won't have a date to give them.
Exactly.
So I would say after venue, then you kind of want to assemble that dream team, get your photographer, get your musicians, your DJs, your entertainment, anyone who might be, like I said, a hot commodity that might get booked up quickly.
Yeah, and so that would be between like, I'd say the year to 8 months out, you
Yes.
want to get those vendors booked out. Well, I'd say especially if you want to be a June bride, right?
Yeah.
Because that's...
Plan maybe 2 years in advance.
Yeah, that's like a busy time of year. And the other thing for me that I was so surprised by with venue was just how restrictive they are.
Right.
And how expensive. Oh my gosh.
So even if you are kind of starting within that 12-month period, it's gonna take at least a month looking at different places.
Yeah.
Because even the venue that you might have your eye on that you think is the perfect fit, they might end at 9 p.m. and that's a deal breaker for you.
I found the perfect place to get married, and it was filled with like kind of creepy architecture and like sculptures and stuff like
Also, why it's important to go and check it out in person.
Which was, I'm oversensitive to that stuff, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to get married.
Right. And that's a good thing to point out too, is Pinterest and blogs, you might see a really awesome photo, but it tells just one story, one frame.
Totally. Oh my goodness. Well, what's funny is where I ended up getting married was Hummingbird Nest Ranch. And we kind of found that because it was also used as a filming location. So it was really amenable to large parties. It's used to having film crews in there. And it was the one place that was open past 10:30, was totally within our budget. But hilariously, I have seen that place on every TV show I watch.
Really?
Oh, it was on like Key and Peele. It's on like Married. It's on all these different shows. And it's so funny to see your wedding kind of in a completely different context.
Right. And it's true. Like what you bring in can totally transform the space.
When we first looked at the location, I didn't like it because there was another wedding getting set up and it just was not my taste at all. And I just kind of had this like, ooh, I don't know. Is this
Puts a bad taste in your mouth.
Like, I don't know. But then we came back and it was completely empty, and then I could kind of really see the potential there. So yeah, venue is so important. Oh my goodness. How do you find the best vendors, and what makes a vendor great?
That's a good question. I would say finding the best vendors, definitely look at their blogs, look at their portfolios, make sure they have a professional looking website. It's not just about them doing a good job, it's about them doing the right job for you. So if you want super lush, romantic garden flowers, I wouldn't go with someone who does like succulents and cactuses normally. Make sure that their portfolio matches what you're wanting for your wedding. And then also just some like red flags when you're emailing them or calling them, if they're not getting backed promptly.
Well, that was happening with us with the florals. I remember we were looking at a couple of different people, and you know, there was one who
took like a month to get back.
Oh my gosh, to the point where it's like, oh, I'm already married, so don't worry about it.
It doesn't really matter how beautiful the invitations are if no one gets to see them. So you want to choose people who not only do good work, but are reliable and dependable, and that's important to us.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so Pinterest, is it a source of inspiration or a source of unattainable pressure? Because it was every day something different for me.
Yes, that's a tough one, and I agree. I definitely say it's a source of inspiration, but I'd be lying if I didn't say like sometimes it makes me want to pull my hair out. It's super helpful as like a wedding professional, and just to, you know, your average couple. Boho might mean something to me, might mean another thing to you, might mean another thing to the florist. So it's good to have those visual references, and it's good to share Pinterest boards so that you're all on the same page. But that being said, I do feel like some brides kind of need to know when to back away from the Pinterest. It's good to keep in mind yourself and what you're wanting for the day and not get caught up in Instagram and Pinterest.
Yeah. Okay, this is one I'm really curious about because I became such like a pearl clutchy, fuddy-duddy woman about this, but wedding etiquette. So I found that etiquette became more and more important to me as the date came like sort of rolled up. And I don't consider myself, I don't think I was a bride. I checked with my sister, but I don't think I was a bridezilla. But I just remember thinking like, gosh, like I didn't realize how important RSVPing on time was. And now I'm really mad at a bunch of people because of it. You know,
totally.
So there's things that you didn't realize are important that become important. So in your mind, what is actually helpful wedding etiquette? Like what is wedding etiquette that everyone should respect and actually augments the experience? And what's wedding etiquette that honestly it's like the mother-in-law or mother and the bride, it's like calm down kind of. You know, it's like no one cares about that.
I would say, you know, like we're talking about so many different varied couples these days, it's important that they kind of talk to each other and decide, you know, are we having a cake cutting just because it's tradition, or do we really want to have a cake cutting? Are we doing the bouquet and garter toss because it seems fun? Or are we just doing it because that's what we think we're supposed to do? So I definitely agree with you. The one thing that I don't think is flexible at all is etiquette with the invitations. Not only do guests need to be respectful and make sure they RSVP promptly, but you need to make sure that your invitations and your save the dates are going out in a timely fashion to give guests enough time to properly prepare.
So what's the best, sorry, I love disaster stories. I always ask people this, but what was your best almost disaster? So you saw something about to go terribly wrong and like a superhero, you saved the day.
Yes. Like a wedding superhero. I have a good one actually. We had a couple years back a case of the missing chuppah. On the day of the wedding, there was not a chuppah to be found. So instead of just kind of pointing fingers and blaming each other or blaming other vendors of whose fault it was that the chuppah wasn't there, we just kind of stepped into overdrive and we're like, we're gonna have a beautiful huppah. So half the team was kind of looking online and looking on their phones of like nearby rental places that could provide us with a similar structure. And then myself and the florist were like walking around at the actual venue, like what can we make into a huppah?
Yeah.
And we found these umbrella stands just like slinked over on the side of the building, and we were like, we had this like aha light bulb moment, and we took the umbrella stands, we covered the bases in sand, and we put the garlands that were supposed to be on the original huppah on there. And the couple had no idea. It looked absolutely gorgeous. No one else had any idea. We got compliments on it all night. And the funny thing is, still to this day, we have emails coming in saying, oh, hey, I loved that huppah. Can you tell me who the florist is? Or I want that for my ceremony. So it's funny that a potential disaster turned into better than it was even supposed to be.
Are the umbrella stands part of your kit now?
Yes. Now we know we can use them.
The last two questions. What should a bride stop worrying about? Because at whatever point you're in, you're worrying about something. So what is the thing that you would just tell a bride to like chill out? That one is going to work itself out.
Right. Well, I would say first of all, if a bride books vendors she trusts, then there really shouldn't be a whole lot for her to worry about in terms of the actual wedding coming together. I would say just stop worrying about things that are out of your control.
Yeah.
Like you can't worry about the weather, especially living in Southern California. It can rain in August. So it's gonna change. You know, it might say something the month before the wedding. It might say something different 2 days before the wedding, and it's gonna get fixed. So you just can't worry about those things.
So what is something a bride should be worried about?
Guest count. It can definitely start creeping up there. I don't want couples to think in their heads, oh, we'll invite 200, but some of them are out of town, so I only think like 120 are gonna come.
This was the one source of drama in like my entire wedding.
It usually is.
Yeah, it's everyone's source of drama. Everybody I've spoken to, this was the thing that everyone has some kind of tension over. Like for me, I have a really small friend group. Craig has a big friend group. And then once you get family involved in it, it turns into this whole thing.
Yep.
And I guess for me, from a bridal perspective, the one thing I wish I had remembered to have done, or had like not worried about, but just had like put at like top of mind the day of, was to give myself 5-minute breaks like every couple of hours.
To take everything in.
To take everything in, because it just allows you to kind of be a lot more aware of the experience you're having. But then there's no, like afterwards, you're not looking and being like, oh man, like I wish the lipstick was different, or oh man, like the lighting or whatever.
That's so true. It's like you get caught up in the day and everything's moving so fast, and it is. It's an experience that only happens once. So you want to make sure that you're enjoying it, but also it's not going by so fast that you can't still control it.
Exactly. What's your favorite moment?
A tough one. I definitely feel like it's a tie between right when the bride walks down the aisle. I always get goosebumps when the bride walks down the aisle, especially if the groom hasn't seen her before then.
Yeah.
And then I always love the father-daughter dance.
First off, thank you so much for the beautiful day.
Of course.
Because that was all you guys.
It was an absolute blast. We loved working with you both.
It was really fun. It was really, really fun. But no, it turned out beautiful. I'm so happy with it. And thank you so much for all of your awesome tips and advice. I feel like hopefully this encourages some brides out there to, you know, like get organized and really think about those hard questions that no one wants to think about.
Yes. Hopefully this helped kind of point people in the right direction to where they should start.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And make sure to check out beauandarrowevents.com. They are amazing. They are just the best. So if you are a bride looking for a event planner, or you're looking for, help on the day, help for the year out, like literally like the best right here.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.